What's up everybody, Serenity here, and today I'll be taking a look at Twitch, arguably the most aggressive support attacking operator in the game. So let's get into it. As per usual, I'm going to start with the loadout. So you have the FAMAS, and then you have the 417. Now, these are two different weapons for two different occasions. The FAMAS is awesome at close to medium range, and the 417 is more for longer range. With the FAMAS, I use the reflex sight, the flash hider, and the grip. No laser sight, but you could slap a laser sight on there because that would make sense because you're always going to be close range with the FAMAS, and with the 417 I would use the ACOG sight, the flash hider, and the grip. No laser, of course, because you're not going to do any close range with it. There's also a shotgun, but I don't really recommend playing with it because the FAMAS just does a better job overall, and the shotgun is just going to make you play in such a predictable way. In the sidearm category, you have the P9 and the LFP. Now, you know me, I like capacity over damage in sidearms, so I'm always going to take the P9, but the LFP is not a bad weapon. You can make it work, no problem. And in the gadget category, you have the stun grenades and the breaching charges, and that all depends on your team. Do they bring breaching charges? If so, you can bring the stun grenades. If not, bring the breaching charges yourself. And to finish out the loadout, she has medium speed and medium armor. A lot of people seem to think that she has high speed and low armor, but no, she's actually quite well armored. Twitch's special ability is a shock drone. It's way bigger than the other ones, and it has a bunch of lights on the front, so it's really easy to spot. It also can't jump, so you're gonna have to use a lot of drone tunnels if you want to go around quickly. What makes this drone special is that it can shoot. It basically has a little taser with a limited range, and so you can destroy enemy gadgets and also damage enemy operators with it. The way I see it is a support tool that can turn into a poking machine. Using the shock drone, you should first search for batteries and jammers. After that, you should start scouting and possibly take out C4s and gas canisters. And after all of that's done, start searching for enemies that have really good positioning against your team's plan and tase them. Basically, when someone gets tased, he doesn't really want to go back to his old position because he feels like the enemy already know where he is, and you'll be surprised by the number of people who gives their position away just because they got tased. Sometimes it's really good to use a drone as a distraction. So for example, if you can't get to the action quickly enough and your team is pushing in, you can distract the enemies by making them look somewhere where they would be vulnerable to your team, and it's pretty hard to shoot that drone when it's right under your feet. That's usually what I do to distract the enemies. While that's happening, tell your team to push in, and that's an easy kill. As you can see, there's a lot of uses with the shock drone, so it's never going to be useless. Here are some tips on how to be effective with the shock drone. Try to almost never go in a straight line because as soon as you'll get spotted, you'll get taken out. The drone is pretty big, so it's a very easy target. So when you're tasing an enemy, get as close as you can to him and go forwards and backwards. It's a lot harder to shoot a drone that's going from in front of you to behind you and back and forth than a drone that's going sideways right in front of you, because you have to turn all the way around 180 degrees every single time he switches direction. Also, because you can't jump with the drone, you'll get stuck in a lot of weird places. So when that happens, no problem. All you have to do is get close to the drone, press F and pick it up. You can rethrow it as much as you want. Because the drone cannot jump, there's not a lot of good spots that you can hide, except dead bodies. If you find a dead body, you can go right through it, and it's one of the best hiding spots in the game. You can see right through it, and they cannot see you. However, I think it's going to get patched soon. Well, I hope so. And finally, the most important tip I can give you, try to keep it alive for as long as possible, because it's going to be a lot more useful in the late game than in the early game. In the early game, Thatcher can do the job. In the late game, you really need that scouting advantage. Let's now talk about the weapons. First, I'd like to say that unless you have a specific plan on how you're going to be using the additional range that the 417 is going to give you, you should play with the FAMAS. Now, since the gameplay difference between playing with the FAMAS and playing with the 417 is absolutely huge, some of the things I'll be talking about in this guide won't apply if you're using the 417. I totally understand that it's a great gun and all, and honestly, I've seen some players do miracles with it. It's just that I'm a very aggressive player, and I have a lot of experience with the FAMAS, not so much with the 417. I need to address a bug that's currently in the game, and I don't think they'll patch it soon. Basically, when you're shooting at someone and he's falling down, he's actually invincible unless you shoot him in the head. That's not a really big problem, unless you have a small mag or a gun that shoots extremely quickly. And unfortunately, Twitch has both of them. So basically, when you shoot in the body with the FAMAS, you're often gonna find yourself emptying the mag on an invincible operator. And it's the same thing with the 417. Here on the screen, you can see me and my friends testing it, and unfortunately, the two weapons that Twitch carries are badly affected by this bug. The only way to go around this bug is as soon as you see an enemy falling down, you need to stop shooting and you need to wait until the animation is fully finished. It's honestly really annoying, but it's going to make your trigger discipline really good. It's actually good practice. Now let's talk about Twitch's role. Basically, because of her weapon and her ability to mold the battlefield into an easier one to fight on, she is very useful at the front. Now of course you won't be in front of the shields or in front of Fuse, but you're going to be on the second line, basically right behind them. You're going to support them with the FAMAS, because with this weapon you should be able to dominate close to medium range engagements. So in a way they're providing cover for you so that you can outgun the enemy in close range. Now a lot of times in this game things don't go as planned, and that's why you have medium armor. You can still engage in 1v1s, it's just not optimal because you need to stay alive for as long as possible. I would like to point out that if for some reason your team doesn't have a Thatcher in it, your drone becomes a dedicated support tool. Don't even try to tase enemies. As soon as you take out the batteries, pull back and pick it up again, because you'll probably need it again. Let's now talk about stun grenades. Twitch works really well with stun grenades because she knows exactly where the enemies are, since she scouted with her shout drone, and she's usually not too far away from the front line, so she's really effective with stun grenades. Now just like I said in the Thatcher video, you need to be vocal, and you need to ask your team what they carry, because if no one carries breaching charges, it's going to be a horrible disaster. Alright guys, I covered pretty much all I wanted to talk about. So in conclusion, when playing Twitch, your role is to mold the battlefield according to your team's breaching plan. You know, you take out batteries, jammers, C4, gas canisters, and so on. If there's an enemy that's well positioned, go ahead and tase him. Make him know that everyone knows his position, and he'll probably give it up and move to a less dangerous position for your team. Once all of that is done, use stun grenades and be very aggressive. Know that you have a much superior weapon than the defenders in close range, and stay on that front line, right behind the shields and Fuse. However, do what you can to stay alive for as long as possible, because if anyone's well armed for a 1v1, it's you. Well guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope it helped you understand this operator, and yeah, see ya! With a great Jaeger player on your roster, the attacking team won't be able to circle the sites and clear a lot of flanks without risking getting flanked themselves.
Woo! Hey! Shield is already